Imagine standing alone on a black ocean at midnight. Suddenly, something larger than any whale you've ever imagined begins moving beneath the surface. It isn't a myth, it isn't fiction, and the fossils prove it once existed. Tonight, Dark Beyond opens 5 terrifying files about the real monsters that once ruled our planet. 00 to 045. Imagine this. You are standing before a black ocean in the middle of the night. Thunder tears through the sky, waves rise like giant walls, and just beneath the surface, something is moving. It is not a shark, it is not a whale, and it is not any living creature modern humans have ever seen. For centuries, we believed that stories of sea serpents, ocean monsters, and giant beasts were nothing more than the imagination of terrified sailors. But then, the fossil teeth were found. The massive jaws were unearthed, and the twisted, monstrous skeletons buried deep beneath the ground began to reveal a truth more terrifying than any legend. 045 to 135. Scientists call them fossils, but to our ancestors, they may have looked like evidence of nightmares. A tooth larger than a human hand, a vertebra so massive that it forces you to ask one chilling question: what kind of creature once carried this inside its body? And if these creatures were real, then how terrifying was the ancient ocean? Today, Dark Beyond opens some of the darkest files in natural history. 5 ancient monsters, 5 predators that truly existed, and each one may have inspired humanity's deepest fears of darkness, swamps, and the endless sea. Let us begin with a creature whose name sounds like a myth: Basilosaurus, 135 to 302. Basilosaurus was once called the king lizard, but that name was a mistake. It was not a lizard. It was not a snake. Basilosaurus was actually an ancient whale, but do not let the word whale fool you. This was not a gentle creature drifting peacefully through a blue ocean. Basilosaurus had a long, twisting body that could reach more than 18 meters in length. It moved through the water like a giant serpent from another world. Imagine you are a small creature swimming in the ancient sea. The water around you suddenly grows darker, the fish begin to scatter, and from behind the deep blue shadows, a long and unnatural shape glides past. No sound, no warning, only a massive jaw opening, filled with sharp teeth. Basilosaurus hunted with silence. Its long body allowed it to move like a ghost beneath the waves. Its head resembled that of a whale, but its teeth made it look like something born from a nightmare. Perhaps when ancient people discovered its fossils, or heard stories of long serpent-like bones pulled from the earth, they imagined a giant sea serpent, a creature long enough to coil around ships, terrifying enough to become a legend. But Basilosaurus was only the first door, because on land, after the dinosaurs vanished, another nightmare began rising from the swamps. 302 to 430. Its name was Titanoboa. If you are afraid of snakes, then Titanoboa is the worst version of that fear. It was about 13 meters long, it weighed more than 1 ton, and its body may have been as thick as the body of a bus. Imagine an ancient swamp forest, no modern lights, no safe roads, only muddy water, thick fog, giant roots, and a surface so still it feels unnatural. You do not hear a roar, you do not hear footsteps, you only see the water begin to ripple. A massive curve rises from the mud, then another and another, until you realize that the thing moving before you is not a normal snake. It is a living wall of muscle. Titanoboa did not need venom. It did not need the speed of a big cat. Its weapon was pressure. Once that enormous body wrapped around its prey, the end was almost certain. Bones compressed, air disappeared, and in that swamp, no cry for help would travel far enough. After the dinosaurs went extinct, many creatures tried to claim the throne. But in the hot, wet forests of the ancient world, Titanoboa was one of the most terrifying shadows alive. It turned the swamp into a kingdom of death, and if any creature deserves to be called a crawling nightmare, it was Titanoboa. But beneath the ocean, another predator carried teeth that could make even whales fear the dark. 430 to 6. Livyatan. The name alone brings to mind Livyatan, the giant sea monster from ancient legend. But Livyatan was not just a myth, it was real, and it was one of the most terrifying predatory whales in history. Imagine a creature similar to a sperm whale, but more aggressive, armed with a massive jaw and enormous teeth. Some of those teeth reached around 36 centimeters in length. These were not teeth for filtering tiny creatures from the water. These were teeth made to bite, tear, and crush. Livyatan lived in a world where the ocean was anything but peaceful. There were giant sharks, ancient whales, and predators fighting for dominance in dark waters. Livyatan was not weak. It could hunt large prey. It could strike from the depths, open its terrible jaws, and turn a chase into an ending within seconds. Imagine an ancient whale swimming through deep blue water. Everything around it suddenly becomes silent. A massive shadow appears behind it. 00 to 035. Imagine standing before a black ocean in the middle of the night. Thunder tears across the sky. Waves rise like walls. And beneath the surface, something enormous is moving. For centuries, humans believed that stories of sea monsters, giant snakes, and ancient beasts were only legends. But then, the teeth were found. Massive fossil jaws were unearthed, and strange skeletons buried deep inside the earth began to reveal a terrifying truth. Some monsters were not imagined. Some monsters were real. 035 to 115. Scientists call them fossils, but to ancient people, they may have looked like evidence of nightmares. A tooth larger than a human hand, a skull filled with blades, a skeleton so huge that it forced one question into the mind. What kind of creature once carried this body? Today, Dark Beyond opens 5 dark files from prehistoric Earth. 5 ancient predators, 5 real monsters that once ruled the oceans, swamps, and forgotten worlds of our planet. And the first one looked like something from a sailor's worst nightmare. 115 to 155, Basilosaurus. Its name means king lizard, but that name was wrong. Basilosaurus was not a lizard. It was an ancient whale. But do not imagine a peaceful whale drifting through the ocean. Basilosaurus had a long, twisting body, more than 18 meters in length, moving through the water like a giant sea serpent. Imagine swimming in the ancient ocean. The water suddenly grows dark, the fish disappear, then a long shadow passes beneath you. No roar, no warning, only a massive jaw opening in silence. With sharp teeth and a snake-like body, Basilosaurus may have helped inspire legends of sea serpents that haunted ancient sailors. But after the age of dinosaurs ended, another nightmare rose from the swamps. 155 to 235, Titanoboa. If you fear snakes, this creature is the ultimate nightmare. It was about 13 meters long, it weighed more than 1 ton, and its body was so thick that it could look like a living bus moving through the mud. Titanoboa did not need venom, it did not need claws. Its weapon was pressure. Once that massive body wrapped around its prey, the end was almost certain. Bones compressed, air vanished, and in the ancient swamp, there was nowhere to run. After the dinosaurs disappeared, Titanoboa became one of the deadliest shadows on Earth, a crawling monster from a world of fog, mud, and silence. But beneath the ocean, another predator carried teeth made for destruction. 235 to 315, Livyatan. Its name comes from Livyatan, the legendary sea monster. But Livyatan was not just a legend, it was real. This ancient whale had enormous teeth, some reaching around 36 centimeters long. These were not teeth for filtering tiny animals, they were teeth for biting, tearing, and crushing. Livyatan lived in a violent ocean filled with giant sharks and other massive predators. Imagine a prehistoric whale swimming through deep blue water. Everything becomes silent. A huge shadow appears behind it. Then Livyatan strikes from the darkness. And the most frightening part is this. Livyatan lived at the same time as another legendary monster, Megalodon. 315 to 4. Megalodon. The name itself has become a symbol of fear. A giant shark, a massive jaw, fossil teeth so large they look impossible. Megalodon was not just big, it was built for power. It hunted from below, where its prey could not see it coming. Imagine a calm ocean surface. An ancient whale swims near the light, but far beneath it, a dark shape begins to rise. Faster, closer. Then the water explodes. Megalodon's bite may have been one of the strongest in the history of animal life. It ruled through size, speed, and pure force. Science says Megalodon is extinct, but the deep ocean is still full of places humans have barely explored. And that is why Megalodon is more than a fossil. It is an obsession. 4 o'clock to 4:45. But before Megalodon's legend, another predator turned the ancient sea into a battlefield. Mosasaurus. Mosasaurus was not a dinosaur. It was a giant marine reptile, a massive ocean lizard with a powerful tail, sharp teeth, and jaws designed to trap prey. If Basilosaurus was a ghost, if Titanoboa was a nightmare from the mud, and if Megalodon was the bite from below, then Mosasaurus was the death of the Cretaceous sea. In its world, nowhere was safe. Not the surface, not the reefs, not the deep water. When the shadow of Mosasaurus passed overhead, even other predators went silent. Its attack was fast, its jaws were brutal, and its presence turned the ocean into a green hell. 4:45 to 5:15. But what makes these creatures truly terrifying is not only their size. It is the fact that they were real. They had bones, they had teeth, they left evidence behind in stone. Every fossil is a dark message from a dead world. And when ancient people found those giant remains, they did not have modern science. But here is the most terrifying part. These monsters were not born from imagination. They had bones, they had teeth. They ruled the oceans, the swamps, and the forgotten worlds before us. Basilosaurus, Titanoboa, Livyatan, Megalodon, and Mosasaurus. 5 real monsters from Earth's darkest past. Now I want to know your answer. Which one scared you the most? Comment below, "I choose," and write the name of the monster you would never want to face. If you want more dark files about ancient monsters, ocean mysteries, and creatures history almost forgot, hit like, subscribe to Dark Beyond, and turn on the bell. Because in the next episode, we go even deeper into the darkness.